we don't judge the USA by the Ku Klux Klan or by the police who kill black people in the streets. We judge it by the mainstream of society, not the extremes of society. On the face of it, it looked ugly, but what I can say is that South Africa presented a united front, which was dignified and diverse throughout. I get the impression we advanced our interests on trade and investment. We stood firm on our values, particularly our case against Israel in the International Court of Justice for genocide. And I think that we stood dignified in the face of provocation or fallout on the issues of white genocide and land confiscation. All in all, I think Team South Africa did fairly well under enormous fire from President Trump. They were clearly very well briefed on the issues of how to advance trade, and so I think South Africa came with its leverages, such as, for example, critical minerals. I think they anticipated that they may have to find an accommodation for Elon Musk and Starlink. I think they may have been somewhat underprepared for the entire focus on white genocide and didn't get much of a word in. And if I would be there, and I'm sure that the president, if he could get a word in, he would say that the figures that President Trump has is completely wrong. The Agricultural Union speaks about 630 farm murders. Unfortunately, it happens since 2014, but that those farm murders include murders of black farm workers by white farmers, such as 2 black women that were killed last year by farm owners and fed to the pigs. So-called drunk farm workers being dragged 70 meters until their death, a 6-year-old boy picking up an orange being driven over. So the point is that there has to be a complete picture. And I think that it is very important that we keep those things in perspective. But I don't think the president got a word in under the videos and the white papers that were presented there and the continued pressurization. But there was a case to be made if we could get it in. I think if I were the president, the videos of both Julius Malema and former President Zuma, I would say it is precisely for that kind of behavior that they had been expelled by the African National Congress a few years ago, because there's no place for such populism within the party. And so I would not try to be a defender of Julius Malema, but I would say, I would point to the fact that both of them are no longer members of the ANC. They are marginal voices in government, but they are populist voices. And so we don't judge the USA by the Ku Klux Klan or by the police who kill black people in the streets. We judge it by the mainstream of society, not the extremes of society. Just a week before this very important state visit by President Ramaphosa, he welcomed 49 so-called Afrikaner refugees. So we could see that that was going to be the central play of the bilateral. He's put out the propaganda about land confiscation, where the figures are that whites, who are 7%, still own 72% of the land. And so it was disturbing that it was just a bluster by President Trump without allowing a proper case and a rebuttal to be made. However, I think just the presence of a diverse South African delegation gives the lie to both a white genocide as well as wanton land confiscation. And so maybe the composition of the South African team made up for what they could not get in terms of a rebuttal. The whole world saw what you're up against when you are South Africa, what you're up against in terms of a bizarre Trump relationship with white South Africans and the general supremacist agenda that is there. I think, if anything, that has been put on full display